Transcript says, "Brother, we need to talk." And that's it. So big picture, the Lion and his fleet is inbound to Ultramar.
When any Primarch speaks, is always super interesting, super fascinating. And when they speak to each other, even more. Like, I tremble for conversations like this between the Primarchs, because they're like the most fascinating thing ever.
More importantly than that, he has some interesting fan theories that tie into the video games. Obviously with Captain Titus, and then Lionel Johnson showing up in the new Total War 40K.
But the Lion book about the Return of the Lion, which was a huge deal because it's a Primarch, guys. We only have, in 40K right now, in the current lore, we only have Guilliman as an active Primarch. All the others are either dead, turned to chaos, or nobody knows where they are or what happened to them. It's a mystery. So the only Primarch that was running around, being the Empress regent, all those things, the leader of the Imperium, that is Guilliman. And all of a sudden, the Lion returned, like about maybe 3 years ago, was it, in his own book. And that was a huge deal. Of course, it's a huge deal when a Primarch returns. It's so interesting to know what happened to him. And the Lion, he even got new powers when he returned, which is pretty cool. He can like teleport, and he's now super old. So where exactly, how exactly he turned old, what the heck happened exactly, we're not perfectly sure. He probably was in some kind of a stasis, as far as I remember, was one of the things. But the point is that since he's like the only one who returned, we are waiting for him to speak to Guilliman and to see if they can have some kind of a settlement. It's gonna be so interesting. So now let's hear Arbiter Ian and let's discuss.
World Titus is up for pre-release as I write this, and of course the main story of that book concerns the campaign to expand Ultramar and the actions of Captain Titus as he helps out, and I've got a whole video on the lore of that. Don't worry, it'll be out next week. But before that, I thought I'd do a quick video on one little teaser hidden at the very back of this book, because it's probably the closest to a reveal we've got. And as is traditional on YouTube, we can read far too much into a tiny little bit of text. So on the last page of Titus 500 Worlds, the background book from the new supplement, we have a mysterious transmission. The transcription, which I've recreated here in full because of the weird way we get books nowadays and what we're allowed to show, reads as follows. Accessing a data reliquary that is on an agri-world, Dastori Ultex, on the edge of Greater Ultramar. Salutations of the Omnissiah Nova Marines Captain Halvros. There is a message. This message is for Primarch Robute Guilliman, Ultramarines Lord Commander Imperium Lord Regent. It's coming from the Rock of the Dark Angels chapter. Positional triangulation inconclusive, but approaching the Protoss front, Greater Ultramar. Appended Adeptus Astartes signifiers for some other chapters. Advisory, override clearance signifier attached to Vox Missive, exceptional antiquity. Clearance signal confirms no error. A tech Magos suggests data corruption, but clearance signifier confirms no corruption. And the ident of this signal is Lion L. Johnson, the Primarch of the Dark Angels. And once the transmission is downloaded, we get the transcript, which is very short. The transcript says, "Brother, we need to talk." And that's it. So big picture, the Lion and his fleet is inbound to Ultramar with the intention of talking to Robute Guilliman. That's the very short version. It's something people have been talking about for a while or wondering when it's going to happen. It looks like it's going to happen. But if we go through this and drag out all the really small details hidden in this fantastic bit of color text, this is what we know. So an agri-world on the edge of Greater Ultramar, the reclamation zone, the zone that's being made Ultramar again, likely to the very, very west of Ultramar. That would be the edge closest to the rest of the Imperium. Remember, Ultramar is all the way out on the eastern fringe. The transmission station there has logged a message. Message has been accessed by a Nova Marines captain. The Nova Marines are Ultramarine successors. Their homeworld, Honorium, is actually miles away across the Great Rift over here, but let's assume some of them are fighting in Ultramar. The message has a corrupted time code. This station's been attempting to send it on for some time, but hasn't been able to. So we don't know how old this message is. The message is for Robute Guilliman, and it's coming from the Rock, which, as we know, is the Dark Angels Fortress Monastery. We last saw the Rock with Lionel Johnson in the ruin of old Caliban, which is all the way on the other side of the galaxy. It's in the northwest of the galaxy, in Imperium Nihilus right now, so across the Great Rift. We last saw it in action during the Arcs of Omen campaign as the Dark Angels attempted to stop Vashtor the Archiphane from rebuilding Wormwood, which was like a webway tunneling device. That didn't work. Vashtor got Wormwood and got away. The message has signals from these three chapters, the Guardians of the Covenant, the Consecrators, and the Angels of Redemption. Those are three Dark Angels successor chapters who were also involved in the Arcs of Omen plot. So they're apparently still traveling with the fleet. We know it's approaching, it's getting closer to the Protoss front, which is the westernmost expansion area of the whole Ultramar reclamation. That campaign is divided into 4 tetras, and Protoss is the base for the western part. The western part is led by Captain Balthus of the Doom Eagles. And if we take all that information and we try and apply it to the map, that puts the Dark Angels fleet somewhere around here, sort of heading in that direction. And then finally, we know that the message is from the Lion, and it definitely is, because it prompted a whole load of security checks, because his authorization code is so old that they think it's an error, and it isn't. So yeah, that's what we know. That's all the information, sorry. Last time we saw the Lion was in the Arcs of Omen campaign in 2023. That's 3 years ago. It happened just before the release of 10th edition 40k. He'd woken up and risen in Imperium Nihilus, over on the other side of the rift, and he fought alongside the Blood Angels, and of course the commander of the Blood Angels, Dante, had been named Regent of Imperium Nihilus by Guilliman years before, near the start of the whole Great Rift storyline. The Lion that we got when that happened seemed a lot more wise, calm, tempered than the characterization he had in the Horus Heresy. In the Horus Heresy novels, he's sort of permanently angry at not being considered the best at everything, while also absolutely denying he feels like that. He's a complete arse. He like randomly kills his subordinates out of hand. He's not a very nice person. But it seems like after his long sleep, he seems to be a bit wiser and a bit calmer. One of the big things is that he didn't seem to have much ambition to rule. When he rises, he doesn't question Dante's role, for example. Seems like he mostly wants to just hunt down traitors. One thing we haven't seen yet, because we sort of left that campaign at the end of the battle, we haven't yet seen what effect this had on the Dark Angels. One of the big things is that he insisted that not all of the fallen are bad and started to redeem them. They became redeemed and became risen, but we don't know if there's any more fallout in the Dark Angels with the return of their Primarch. We don't know how they've got there, what they've had to do to get through the Great Rift, but they have travelled from one end of the galaxy to the other, which explains why no one's mentioned them this edition. And they're now inbound to Ultramar to talk to Guilliman, which raises the next big issue that Guilliman isn't in Ultramar. One of the big plot points of this book is how Guilliman has left the conquest of Ultramar to the Ultramarines chapter and the other S.H.I.E.L.D. chapters. Marneus Calgar was first on the Natman Gauntlet and then transferred to the Bastior front, the start of 10th edition, to fight Hive Fleet Leviathan. He's still sort of there. And then the last time we had a location for Guilliman himself was around the Pariah Nexus at the end of the Dawn of Fire novels. That's a bit further to the west of Ultramar. So we might end up with that being a problem. Maybe the Lion gets there and then does something else because Guilliman isn't there. However, I think if this is the last thing in the 500 Worlds Titus book, it looks like it's likely to be the plot of the next one. So maybe Guilliman is going to have to head back to Ultramar, whether he wants to or not.
Definitely go and watch this video if you want. Arbiter Ian is one of those guys that support the new crap like female custodies and whatever. He doesn't care. He's like excusing everything. So have this in mind. Yeah. But he has been a lore channel for a while. He's not very appreciated by Pontius, who is like basically the Pontius, the great aficionado of Warhammer 40k lore and in the recent year, or the past year basically. But in any case, what he said here should be true in terms of where everybody are. Is very complicated to even attempt to see what's happening where everybody are. I mean, you can understand kind of where they are, but if you don't have the map and place those things on it, so that's a good job that he did there. Definitely. Now, when it comes to them meeting, I think that JW is gonna drag this out a lot because again, Guilliman is not actually there, and
Yeah.
it's gonna take a while for them to travel. They can always like write in the book. They just met, like what, a year later.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a book. They can skip whatever time they want. But I think that GW is gonna tease us to the end of time with at least 2 or 3 more novels until they actually meet. It took like 3 years for us to get to this point now. So
Yeah, since the point of the lion actually returned, it's been 3 years.
yeah,
Right, so maybe three years more until they actually meet.
I think
The
3.
message goes through depending on where Guilliman is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes a while. First, second. When I talked to some old fans of 40k that actually have been there, they said, "Hey, you know what we're getting now? It's much faster than before. It used to take like a decade, 15 years for something else to happen, something more major. So right now we're getting things much faster, which is great. Still, you can grow a beard while waiting,
And
but at least
getting
this is gonna happen."
and getting as old as the lion now.
Yeah, basically again,
By
yeah,
waiting.
yeah, absolutely. By waiting. And like what can the lion want from Guilliman? I'm pretty sure that they want to catch up with each other, and the lion wants to understand what his place could be now in the Imperium. He wants to be updated on everything. He knows that Guilliman is now the Emperor's regent, so because it says there in the message, basically he's referred to as the Empress regent. Just yeah, I just can't wait for their conversation because the most important thing in the lore is always what's happening in the main lore, not just the
Exactly.
side stories that don't connect that much to anything. They're just a part of the greater picture. But when you see the Primarchs doing anything, we're actually getting somewhere in the lore. So that to me is literally the main thing. And when any Primarch speaks, is always super interesting, super fascinating. And when they speak to each other, even more. Like I tremble for conversations like this between the Primarchs because they're like the most fascinating thing ever to see this. Clash of intelligence, ego, experience, because they're all their separate leaders on their separate worlds. But Guilliman is the only one who has 500 worlds to rule. He has his own empire.
So do you think that the lion will have a problem with that now, or now that he's back, or
So I mean, he is probably so confused. He has to catch up on 10,000 years of being in some kind of a stasis mode. Which still doesn't explain how he got old in the first place. It's so confusing
that's really weird, you know?
that he's so old. I mean, it's like he was alive and just got old in the meantime. But also, remember, Guilliman was dead, pretty much dead or almost close to dead state, kind of similar to the Emperor, for 10,000 years. And he was brought back, and he didn't get old.
So actually, how long in our years, how long did it take them to revive Guilliman to GW?
10,000 years.
No,
No,
in-
an hour.
in
Oh,
hour,
I
yes.
don't know.
Oh.
I wasn't there. I
Okay.
wasn't there back then.
It's not as fast as the comic books when they kill off a character and 3 years later he's back. You know?
Yeah, I really have no
But
idea.
It's probably more.
But that's a
yeah.
good question, though. We can check
You
that.
can check that, yeah.
So yeah, so now what do you think actually about this? Although you're a casual fan and all that, but still, what do you think? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you have something to say.
Sounds really cool. I think the coolest part, watching the whole video, like you said, him being able to put maps and everything else. So shout out to the content arbiter Ian, the content creator. I put his links in the chat for everyone to check out. You can go see the maps of what current or contemporary 40k world looks like right now. More importantly than that, he has some interesting fan theories that tie into the video games. Obviously with Captain Titus, and then Lionel Johnson showing up in the new Total War 40k. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know anything about this shit. I'm not even going to try and pretend I'm an expert. I just think it's really interesting.
Oh
It
yes,
is indeed, yeah.
that's what makes 40k. I mean, 40k is always super interesting. It's so fascinating.
And Titus is getting really big place now. You know, I
Yeah.
wonder what they'll think of him next.
Well, I mean,
In the back.
he's super.
In the back of my head, because I've seen so many like AI generations of it, Captain Titus is starting to feel a lot more like where Henry Cavill might take this world. and starting somewhere in the future and then working backwards from there to see if there's enough hype he could drive up. That's one of the thoughts that I had. I was like, I wonder where they'll start with this if they're trying to make a cinematic production, whether that's TV or movie.
I mean, by this point, anything is possible, but I have to bring you back to the words of Henry Cavill himself. Because they asked him, years ago, hey, would you play Inquisitor Isaac-Horn? Just because Amazon actually had an idea just before the pandemic to make an Amazon show just with this guy, with Isaac-Horn. Yeah. So they asked him, hey, Henry, you look perfect for Isaac-Horn. Can you play him? Like, what do you think? He's like, no, I'm losing Primarchs and Custodes and the bigger characters. Exactly what I would say.
Yeah.
And Captain Tess is so famous now, but he's just an Astardi. He's great. He has special powers.
Primaris.
Astardi Primaris, who cares? What did I say?
No, nothing. I just said that he was Primaris, I forget.
He's Primaris, but he's an Astardi, he's the Astardi. Upgraded one, but still. So he's just Astardi. And there's many other Astardis that are absolutely amazing, like Dante, freaking Dante that was just mentioned. He's like the oldest space marine, or one of the oldest ever. And he is the one who who is trying to hold the Blood Angels together. He's the closest thing to Sanguinius.
That could be played by anyone, because he's going to be with the mask all the time.
Oh, most of the time.
I want to see Henry's face,
So, I have a casual fan theory.
All right.
Especially from a money-making perspective. So I'm thinking of Star Wars. And Star Wars came out and blew everyone's mind away and made people want to be interested in the lore by jumping into like a place very far in the future. I'm wondering if I was a Hollywood executive or someone that wanted money, especially with the hype of Space Marines recently, maybe it's better for you to move into the future and then flesh out the past through shows depending on fan interest, and you make all your bang for your buck into one, like, blow your mind away, like this is the Warhammer 40K universe. So I don't know. That's a thought that I had. Again, I'm a casual weirdo, so.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's many speculations about where things will go. But if I was Henry, I will not play Titus. I would just.
Yeah, I think that he'll stick to someone bigger, but maybe they'll give, maybe for sure they'll give Titus a donut that he's so famous. Maybe in a different show, or maybe he'll be in that show. I mean, the
also, we have
for many shows. Yeah.
We have to measure how much Henry would want to be there, because depending on which character he plays, he will be more or less there according to the lore. So let's say he plays Guilliman. Everything's connected to Guilliman. If he wants to, of course, portray the current lore, but if he wants to go back to the heresy, he can be more characters that are active there. So it's just like, what does he want to do? 30K, start from there and explain the absolute, how's the word for that? Like, the best times for the Imperium before the heresy? Or he wants to start from now and just show the aftermath, which is nearly, not as interesting, not even a little bit, as the heresy. The heresy is like the most interesting thing ever. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. But definitely, let's know what you think in the comments. Are you excited for Guilliman meeting the lion? I'm super mega excited. I'm gonna read that 10 times probably. If it's in a audio format, I'm gonna listen to it 500 times. But I just can't wait to happen, and can't wait to see what they can do together. I just want to see something really, really special. So we'll see hopefully how that looks like, and the GW is not gonna ruin it in any way. So yeah, let us know.
For the imperium must not fail. Imperium we prevail. The warriors march with sacred might. Their purpose burning crystal bright, to lift the throne world from its plight and guard humanity's light.